Good morning, everyone. Y'all give me a shout out if you can hear me and if y'all are out there. Today is day 3, the last day in phase 1 of Before the Fork. This is your 28-day experience. So this is the last day of phase 1. Phase 1 is just a short preparation period until we launch into the extended phase number 2, which will start tomorrow morning. So what I want to talk with y'all about today in getting your kind of wrapping your mind around the last day of preparing to launch into your nutritional program tomorrow is I try to think of stories or little ways that you can connect this from other areas of your life. And being a mother, which is absolutely given my life every bit of its purpose, kind of always brings me back to my children. And unfortunately, if you're a man out there and you haven't experienced, or obviously you haven't experienced giving birth, then maybe you have a woman in your life, a wife or a mom or a sister that you have watched go through this process. So that's what I'm going to relate the final day of phase 1 to. Hey, Kim, is giving birth. So we don't often go into when a woman is pregnant. I guess it's happening more now than it ever has before, where you actually schedule an induction day. But back in the old days, when girls would just be pregnant with their child, and nature would just take its course, and you would go into labor, you were always prepared. You had this gestation period, you'd been creating this beautiful life, and up to the last couple of days, or maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks, you started preparing. And that's what phase 1 is. Phase 1 is preparation for an event that is getting ready to take place, and that's going to happen tomorrow. So I know with all of my boys, I carried them well past their due date, and leading up to it, I knew that I was getting ready to go through some major changes, major life changes. Everything in my world as I knew it was about to go through a major transformation. Someone just logged on. Hi, Deborah. Glad to have you. And I also knew coming with those changes was going to be a lot of firsts for me, especially with your first child. A lot of things that you've never experienced before. But the anticipation of holding that baby, loving that baby, connecting to that child, you're willing to give up everything, every piece of life as you know it. You are willing to let go of and just go through this process of experiencing. And you're so excited, and there's so much anticipation that you know the reward of receiving that baby into the world is going to be well worth any sacrifice moving forward. So that emotion that you felt leading up to the delivery of your child, if you've been blessed with a child, that's the level of energy that I want you to be bringing into this day, knowing that what the future holds is so exciting and so full of promise and fulfillment and personal satisfaction that you're willing to do all of the preparation. You have your bag packed. You have all of your emergency numbers by the door. You have your doctor on call and your nurse midwife on call. You have everything lined out. If you have animals, you have the veterinarian's office ready to take them in for boarding if you're going to do that for a few days after delivery. Everything is in order. Anything that could possibly go wrong, you have thought of, and you have implemented a plan, and you have that plan in place so that this transition is as smooth as it possibly could be. Okay, that's the kind of anticipation and preparation that I want you bringing into today. And I'm going to tell you, here's just a couple of little red flags. If you cannot muster the energy to invest the time in that preparation, then your why story is just not strong enough, and you need to go back and revisit it. You need to go back and make some adjustments, make some tweaks, because it's that energy that will make this preparation phase effortless. So if you're having to invest extra effort into the preparation, then you have a less than compelling why story. And you need to go back and strengthen that why story. Now, there's still time. So this isn't a D-Day, doomsday type situation. There's still time. Go back and paint a more vivid picture. Because if you're struggling with finding the energy of doing everything that needs to be done to ensure that you're successful in the next 25 days of the program, then you're just disconnected from your why story. Think about the night before, the day before you go on vacation. Here's a great example. I leave tomorrow morning for 5 days on a boat out in the middle of the lake, without access to a grocery store, without access to a lot of conveniences. So rather than going into this day with a lot of dread and I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I have to do that, blah, 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 I am so excited about the lake trip that all of those tasks are exciting to me. I already have a pile in the garage of things that I'm taking with me to ensure that we have everything that we need when we're at the lake. And today I'm tying up all those loose ends, and I'm doing it with such a joyful heart, because I know for the next 5 days, I'm going to be in a boat with Rowdy and Greg and Mac. Unfortunately, not all of my kiddos are going to be able to be there, but I'm going to be with my sister and her family and a lot of extended family. And it's a joyous time. So yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a tremendous amount of work, but I know that the reward is worth it, because I know that my kids are making memories. I'm making memories. My husband is relaxing and taking his mind off some of the stressful events that he has going on. That's the energy that I want you to have with you moving into tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work. Anything worth anything is a lot of work, but your frame of mind going into it is what can take it from being something that you dread to something you're so willing to do, because the payoff is so incredibly strong. Okay, so just know that if you're having to put extra effort and it's done a little begrudgingly into the final day of phase 1, you're just disconnected from your why story, and you need to go back and revisit your why story and make some stronger connections. And you can do that. Just go back to the chapter. Let's see. Go back to chapter 6. It starts on page 49. Revisit some of those practices and make some stronger connections. Okay, I know you can do that. Okay, the next thing I wanted to touch on real quick is chapter 12, and that is pillar 6. Setting your expectations. Okay, this is huge. And if you haven't really studied that chapter, please go back and read Setting Your Expectations. Because remember, when you have an unrealistic expectation that is disconnected and disjointed from the best and highest use of your personal facilities, your personal body. So I'm talking about your somatotypes, your ectomorph, your endomorph, your mesomorph, whatever combination of those 3 you may be. The chances of you being strictly one of the 3 is slim. You're probably a combination. I am a combination of a mesomorph and an endomorph. I get muscle, gain muscle very easily, but I don't have the ectomorph thin body type that, I have to work for what I have. It's that simple. That's my reality. And I function within that reality. So, sorry, I'm getting a little bit of a cold. So if you haven't really studied that chapter, pillar 6, it's really important that you do that today, because I want you to have a visual image. If you're tying your transformation to a visual image, I want that visual image to be in alignment with the highest and best use of your body. So I tell a little story in the book about my precious niece, who I absolutely adore. And if anyone were to see her and look at her physicality, she's brilliant. She has the strongest body. She's a tiny little thing, but she has the body of a gymnast. She has these gorgeous muscular thighs and calves and this beautiful, strong arms. And when I first started training her in the gym, she came to me one day and we were doing an exercise of some sort. Anyway, had our arms extended. And she said, Ronnie, I want my arms to be long like yours. And I had to take her and say, you know, doll, that is not going to happen. But let me show you what your arms can look like or do look like, because she was a young thing and she had beautiful arms. But she was admiring an image outside of the highest and best for her physical body. And once she realigned and got an image and got a vision that was better aligned to what her capabilities are or were at the time, then she realized that it's okay to admire something that's just out of your capability, but it's equally as important to identify with something that is within your capability. You know, a lot of times you'll hear this positive messages, you can be, do, and have anything. And that's absolutely true. And I do believe that you can be, do, and have anything that you want in life. But your chances of success and your chances of personal satisfaction increase 10 times when you identify your strengths. So another example I give in the book is, or it may not have made it into the book, it may have been trimmed out, but it's an example of J-Lo versus Angelina Jolie. They're about the same height, but they have incredibly different somatypes. Angelina Jolie, classic ectomorph, tall, thin, very difficult for her to keep weight on, no muscle structure on her body, seemingly at all. So just a very, very thin person. And then you have J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, who is meaty, fleshy. Of course, she has a nice badonkadonk on her, big thighs, bigger arms. And she is probably your classic meso-endo, leaning into the endomorphic body type. Could J-Lo look like Angelina Jolie? Possibly, for a very brief moment in time, because she would be so incredibly miserable maintaining that, she could achieve that physical thinness, but the damage, the metabolic damage it would do to her is not worth it, because it's out of alignment with her predisposed body type, which is not the ectomorph. Now, could Angelina Jolie move over and become a J-Lo? Possibly. But again, the effort that she would have to put into maintaining a meaty, fleshy body would break down her metabolic makeup. It goes against everything that her body was created to be. So she might achieve it, but the damage that it would do is not worth even attempting it. She's much better off aligning with the highest and best use of her own personal body. So I've talked a little bit longer than I intended today. Those are the two messages that I want you to take into your day. Go back, revisit your why story, make sure that it's potent enough, that it has enough emotional energy to make the tasks of this final day of preparation before we launch into your nutrition plan tomorrow morning effortless, that those are done, the preparation is done with a willing and glad heart. That's when you know that you're tied in to your why story. And also go back and revisit chapter 12, which is setting your expectations based on your predisposed highest and best use of your physical body. That will save you so much heartache and strife in the long term, because you know that everything you're doing to be the highest and best you, not the highest and best someone else outside of you. Okay, so that's my message for today. I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back with you this evening, and then we launch into the program tomorrow morning. So I'm so excited for y'all. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and I will be back with you tonight. Not sure what time, but I'll give you a little heads up before I do go live. Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.